Okay, fifth grade. Today we're going to look at rounding decimals. Rounding decimals is very similar to when we were rounding whole numbers. We still need to make sure we know those place values it is asking, and we're going to follow those same exact rules. So for example, on slide number 3 in your activity for today, you have the example 94 and 562 thousandths. And you're going to see we're going to do an example on how to round this number to the nearest tenth, and then we're going to round it to the nearest hundredth. So I'm going to use a different color. So we're going to do the first one where it says round to the nearest tenth. Now, looking at a place value chart, we know that the tenths place is here. Now, what I'm going to do is if I round it to the nearest tenth, that means I'm going to underline the place that I'm going to be rounding, which is the tenths place. Then I'm going to look at the digit to the right, which is the sixth. Now, remember, if it's 4 or less, you're going to let it rest. If it's 5 or more, you're going to add one more to the underlined digit. So the 6, since 6 is 5, is more than 5 or more, then I'm going to add 1 to this 5. So when I round to the nearest tenth, my answer is 94 and 6 tenths. Okay. Now the next one we're going to look at is the nearest hundredth. So I'm using the same number. I'm just going to rewrite it. 94 and 562 thousandths. Now I'm rounding to the nearest hundredth. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So if I'm rounding to the nearest hundredths, I'm going to underline that digit. Follow the same rule. I'm going to look at the digit to the right, which is 2. Now, if it's 4 or less, I'm going to let this number rest. I'm going to leave it alone. If it's 5 or more, then I'm going to add one more to the underlined digit. Well, since it's 4 or less, I'm going to let this number rest. So to the nearest hundredth, we have 94 and 56 hundredths. Okay. On the next slide, I'm just going to do just an example. This is for slide number 6. This is actually for Tuesday, but I'm going to show you an example of how you're going to do those. So you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers, and it's easier to just round them to the nearest tenth and the nearest hundredth. So I'm going to do the same step, the same process I did with this one. I'm going to round 4 and 247 thousandths to the nearest tenth. So my tenth is the 2. Look at the digit to the right. That number is 4 or less, so I'm going to let the underlined number rest. So my answer is 4 and 2 tenths. Okay. Looking at the nearest hundredth, I'm going to rewrite it. 4 and 247 thousandths. This is the hundredths place. I underline the hundredths place because that's the place we're rounding to. Look at the digit to the right, which is a 7. It's 5 or more, so I'm going to add one more to the underlined digit. So it is 4 and 25 hundredths. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing for Monday and Tuesday. We're going to be rounding to either to the nearest tenth or the nearest hundredth. Okay, all right, that's it.